In studio with my good friend Richard Shaw. Rick, always good to see you, sir.
Good to be here, LA.
Absolutely. You're working on a new project, and
And
that's
I'm in an undisclosed location.
undisclosed.
So I will
No
not.
one knows.
I will not tell anybody where I am.
Let's keep it that way, folks. But you're working on a new project, and it has to do with what's going on in Gaza, specifically between Hamas in Gaza and Israel. And of course, we know last week 60 the Israelis killed 60 of the demonstrators. But many people don't know the particulars of what's really going on because our news media is disingenuous. Pick up a story from there.
Oh well, I had to do something because I have a good friend by the name of Dan Gordon, who you know too. Dan is works with the IDF as far as being. He used to be an official spokesperson, but now he's more on a combat kind of arm of the IDF, and he was right up at the fence, last week.
Wow.
When all this was going on, and sent me pictures that I can't show to anybody because they have to be cleared through the IDF. But basically, it's nothing like what we hear in the media. The media gives us a completely skewed thing. Oh, woe is me, the poor Palestinians, and all of this. And it's really, the problem is Hamas. That's the problem. There didn't used to be this problem before Hamas came in and created it. So basically, the media isn't telling the truth about what's really going on. And it's just like what you were just mentioning a second ago, that 60 people were killed by the IDF. Well, what it turned out to be that 50 of them were Hamas terrorists.
Bingo.
And later, Yahoo, basically put that up. Said, well, actually, there were 50 terrorists involved that were shot.
But the problem with that is people they hear the first story, and that's what they go with.
And they don't hear the next
They don't
one.
hear the next story, right.
And the only reason it came out is because Hamas wanted the airplay. So Hamas came out with that story, so they couldn't really ignore it because Hamas, broadcast it out. That was 50 of our own
martyrs.
Yeah, it was like, it's ridiculous. They're not martyrs, they're terrorists.
So from the Israeli point of view, you have 40,000 people. It's a lot of people. That's a football stadium almost, okay? 40,000 people are storming the fence. They've got kites. Talk about the kites in a little bit.
Sure.
Incendiary kites with Nazi symbols on them. Isn't that cute? They've got pipe bombs, and then, of course, in the midst of that, they've got people who are terrorists with automatic weapons.
Well, right. There's really two kinds of things going on here. The Hamas will put little children up front because they know the IDF won't target them.
Right.
And they also put women up front.
Same reason.
To demonstrate,
right.
Okay, to make them look, woe is me, we're having to send our kids out on the front lines. And the kids have like slingshots and are throwing rocks at the soldiers, essentially. So they're really not much of a threat, but it looks worse than it actually is. But it's all manipulation, and Hamas works the media because the media is always in the Palestinians' favor and never Israel.
Right.
And Israel's just sitting back going, what's going on now? What is it we have to deal with? That's basically it. And really, the Palestinians are all acting like children. Well, essentially, they're being paid to appear at the fence and do this.
Tell us how much they're being paid.
Hamas pays them, families, $100 to come out and demonstrate. Each of them get paid $100. They're bussed in for this kind of deal. It kind of sounds like Antifa, doesn't
it? Same mindset or lack of it?
Same mindset.
Right.
It's kind of a worldwide thing right now. And then if you get shot, they pay you $250. So in the piece I did, Dan was explaining this, that they had people coming up to the fence begging the IDF to shoot them in the leg so they can make $250. I mean, it's all about the money.
Crazy.
And they said, please don't hit me in the bone, just graze me or something, and if I have a bullet wound, then I can get $250. It's like really, really kooky, but I mean that's really what's going on. So it's disingenuous, and what isn't known is I did this interview with Shai Hermesh, who's he's a real sweetheart, okay, and he lives in a kibbutz about 7 miles from the Gaza border, okay, and he told me this story like back before the year 2000, before there was the first Intifada,
Okay.
yeah. There were two actually. There was one in 2000, and then a big one in 2006 that Ariel Sharon
Set foot on the Temple Mount.
should
Right.
never had done,
Right.
and he fell into a coma afterwards for
Bingo.
7 years and died.
Yeah.
You know, and a rabbi goes up and says, "For what he's done, he will go to sleep and never wake up." And boink, that's exactly what
happened.
I mean, it was really crazy. It was like a biblical event almost. So he created this problem. He really did by giving up Israeli land that he shouldn't have given up. Land for peace.
Gaza. You're talking about Gaza.
Yes.
Right.
Land for peace does not work.
Doesn't work.
They have the land and then they want more.
Right.
And they'll kill for it because all they want to do is kill every Jew in sight and take over the whole state of Israel. That's their plan.
That's the goal.
Yeah.
Of Hamas in particular.
There's
Sure.
already a two-state thing. They got their space. It's called Gaza. And Israel has their little tiny space. So the media stresses that there needs to be a two-state. Well, they got a two-state solution. It's not working because Hamas is in control of Gaza, and they don't know how to manage anything. I mean, basically, they don't have clean water. Their sewage is just
dumped into the ocean.
straight into the ocean. I mean, all of these things are going on. So it's just really sad. But what I was saying about Shai Hermesh, he was formerly with the Knesset. He was a paratrooper before that. And he had a Palestinian friend that they had hired a lot of these folks to come in and do stuff in Israel, and they'd get paid, and then they'd go home and lay on the beach. I mean, that's the way it was at one time. There was not a big deal. I mean, you're always going to have a few people that are, angry, and that happened when we were visiting Silwan, because Silwan is part Jewish and part Arab. Not all the Arabs are bad people. They're just a few. And if you remember at the first part of the Torah Code film where these guys walk out with machine guns and stop us, I mean, they were really cool. They were like the Silwan police, and I wish I could have spoken Arabic, but I had I had an Arab taxi driver who was really cool, and I liked him a lot, and we we'd joke around about the whole situation, and I said, "So what did the guy say?" And he said he was astonished. I said, "Why?" He said, "That we made it up the hill this far."
Wow.
And I asked him to drive way up there where it's not a tourist area, where there's graffiti and stray cats and all that kind of stuff. And so we went way up on that hill. But what was happening a little beyond where we were, Palestinians were stoning cars. And so it happens randomly all the time, okay? And then, of course, in 2015, there was this knifing thing that was going on.
And it's still going on now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not so much
Well,
as
certainly
it
in
was.
London, but not, in London it's big news.
London,
yeah.
I mean, any place there has been this incursion of Islamists, you get violence.
Right.
And it's not just...
So there were these kites that they flew over from Gaza into Israel. Tell us about those.
They had kites that had hanging down below the kites was some sort of incendiary device. You could see it burning.
Right.
And they had it on a string or something below the kite so it wouldn't set. I mean, it's really primitive, but it
works.
It works,
Yeah.
okay? So they would fly these things out over Israeli fields.
Farms. Fields.
Okay? But Israel now has, this is something that I wasn't even able to say in the project, but Israel now has drones that can go out there and snag the string that's holding the kite and bring it down.
Wow.
So, they can, which is really great. So, Israel's very high tech.
So this film, this piece that you've done, it's what, 25 minutes long roughly?
21
21 minutes long. And it's available on Vimeo. And what it really shows is footage and information which the American people are not seeing on our news media. And I applaud you for doing that. And of course, hats off to Dan Gordon and everybody else who appears in the film. But people can get this by going to your Vimeo channel to $1.25.
Yeah. I wanted it to go wide, and the $1.25 is merely to help recoup our costs
Sure
in making these things.
Right.
And we'll see how this works. I mean, if we get enough hits to where we're not making just $25 for doing a film, then I'll do it again with more stuff. I'll fund other projects with it.
Which is fantastic. Richard Shaw, everybody. But before we go, we have to talk about Jingos. And the reason why we're talking about Jingos is because this stuff really works. Go to www.buyjingos.com. I'm going to read one of my favorites. Hey, LA, my name is Sport, and I'm a very old poodle. My master Paul bought a bottle of Jingos for me. You see, I'm blind and deaf, so I have a hard time figuring out where I'm at. When I think I'm inside, I take a nap outside on the grass. Other times I think I'm outside, but I'm really inside and do what I'm supposed to do outside inside. Which makes a mess on the floor. Thanks to Jingos, my accidents are quickly cleaned up with no lingering odors, and my master Paul is pleased with the results. Folks, again, go to www.buyjingles.com, and remember, you can also get it in the gallon. So when your spritzer runs out, you can fill it up. And the reason why, I got to tell you, our sponsors are incredible because we're not monetizing this. There's no way I can monetize this on YouTube anyway. I would put, what's really going on in Israel. Boom. Not suitable for some advertisers, which is because anybody with a Christian conservative viewpoint is immediately shut down. www.buyjingles.com. Support our sponsors. This stuff really works. And I'd like to talk about our other sponsor, www.simplycleanfoods.net. This stuff is amazing, and I could embarrass myself by starting to eat strawberries on the air. But the food is really delicious. You can sort of rehydrate them by putting whipped cream on them or put them in a bowl of milk. But you can just also eat them out of the bag. What's amazing is for about just under $1,000, you get 825 servings. Folks, you know what? Stuff happens. We all know this. Earthquakes. Look at the fires in California. We have a root cellar, so we keep all of our stuff in the root cellar, which is basically fireproof and even earthquake resistant and fireproof to a point. So if something goes down, if the grid goes down, and was in the fire here in '85 where the entire canyon burned down, there was no electricity, the roads were blocked. So I had nothing then, but I've got it now. So if something goes down for 4 or 5 days, I'm not talking about surviving the apocalypse. I don't believe in that. But if you need something for 4 or 5 days, you're not scrambling. And again, to get that, go to simplycleanfoods.net, simplycleanfoods.net, and stock up today. You won't be sorry you did. Rick, thanks so much for coming on the record. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, Elaine.
And where do they get it? What's your Vimeo link?
Just go to pinlight.com. It's
Pinlight.com.
And once you go to my website, then I'll have links for it. It should be up later today.
Great. Wonderful. Remember, folks, I'll see you on the air or in the air. Thanks for watching. What if what happened in Fatima 101 years ago was much more complex than any of us could have imagined? What if there was a fourth witness hidden away for decades, and through the detective work of researcher Fina Diarmata, this witness was discovered and interviewed? In that interview, the fourth witness described seeing a being with blonde hair floating in midair above the same tree that the apparition would later appear over. What if the so-called angel hair that fell over the crowd is also reported by witnesses who have had close encounters with UFOs today? Then there is the dull silver disc, which flew over the 80,000 people gathered at Fatima, which seemed to create chaos as car windshields exploded, hoods flew open, and gasoline spontaneously combusted. What if there was a picture taken 101 years ago that lay undiscovered in the Fatima archives until one man, Jose Machado, had access to it? What he found may be a smoking gun. Then there are the numerous reports of apparitions and so-called sun miracles. But what are these really? Could they be harbingers of deception? Watchers, a 7-year excursion that takes you on a special kind of adventure. It's about the supernatural, and people flock to it to gain awareness on forbidden subjects like UFOs. The Shroud of Turin, the Torah Code, alien implants, the Nephilim giants, and even life after death. All these and more were why people always clamored for the next Watchers. Now, you'll get to see what many think were the best moments in the series. Excerpts of some of the greatest and most powerful true stories.
I know that Jingo's worked on stains because it has gotten blood onto my son's shirt, but would have never thought it would get the fish smell out of the dog and the carpet. Thank you for being a great stain and smell remover.
What are you waiting for, America? Go to buyjingos.com today.